Welcome to my new video. You might think sharing your goals, your strategies, your dreams is harmless. Maybe even admirable. Maybe you've been told that transparency is the key to connection, that openness breeds trust and collaboration. But the truth is far more nuanced, far more strategic, and far more powerful. What I'm about to reveal will challenge everything you think you know about communication, ambition, and success. It's a principle that has quietly governed the trajectories of the world's most influential people, yet it's rarely discussed openly. Never reveal your full plan. Keep it close. Protect it. Nurture it in private until it's ready to make its mark. Imagine a seed. You plant it in fertile soil. You water it carefully, shield it from harsh winds, protect it from curious hands that might uproot it before it can grow. If you expose that seed too early, show it to everyone, talk endlessly about how magnificent it will become, you risk more than just its growth. You risk your energy, your conviction, and your clarity. When people hear your plans prematurely, they may unintentionally inject doubt or fear, subtly undermining your confidence. Or worse, they may take fragments of your idea, recombine them, and leave you standing on the sidelines wondering why your vision lost its edge. History is filled with examples of people who shared too much, too soon, and paid a price. Consider the innovators of technology, the pioneers in business, the authors, inventors, and leaders who realized that ideas, no matter how brilliant, require incubation. The inventor who reveals the blueprint of a revolutionary machine too early risks having it copied. The entrepreneur who speaks of an ambitious business plan before securing the infrastructure or talent risks facing skepticism that sows hesitation and delay. The author who divulges the ending of a story before the manuscript is complete invites distraction, criticism, and in some cases, theft. Silence, in this context, is not cowardice. Silence is strategic. Silence is preparation. Silence is power. Now, you might ask, how does this principle apply in today's hyper-connected world? Social media encourages oversharing. Platforms reward visibility, and the pressure to appear productive, innovative, and inspiring is relentless. Every moment you broadcast your plans, every thought you publish before it is fully formed, you are essentially allowing the public to hold a mirror to your ambition, one that reflects not clarity, but vulnerability. This is not a call to paranoia, it's a call to discernment. To know when to speak, when to act, and when to remain unseen. The psychology behind this is fascinating. Human beings are wired to respond to information, to give feedback, and often, to judge prematurely. When you reveal your plan, you invite commentary, and commentary can be corrosive. Even supportive advice can derail your momentum because it introduces perspectives that may dilute your focus. The act of explaining an idea, of sharing it verbally or in writing, triggers a subtle release of psychological reward. You begin to feel the satisfaction of progress, without actually making progress. This phenomenon is well documented. Sharing an intention publicly can reduce motivation to achieve it. Why? Because your brain registers acknowledgement as a form of completion, even though the goal remains unrealized. So, what is the alternative? The alternative is strategic concealment. The alternative is holding your plans close, committing to them in silence, and allowing them to mature before presenting them to the world. There is a discipline to this approach. It requires patience, focus, and confidence in your own judgment. You must be able to resist the temptation of approval, to act without validation, to progress in private while the world watches unaware. This is the hallmark of the truly successful. They do not seek validation in the early stages. They nurture their vision in secrecy, building quietly until the momentum is undeniable, the impact undeniable, the success unavoidable. Consider the stories of the most influential figures in business and innovation. Steve Jobs famously maintained secrecy around Apple's projects, creating an aura of anticipation that fueled demand and preserved competitive advantage. Elon Musk, in his early ventures, operated with an intense focus on execution, revealing only what was necessary and at the right moment. J.K. Rowling finished her manuscripts before discussing her ideas in interviews or public appearances. Their achievements were not born from arrogance or isolation but from disciplined protection of their creative and strategic processes. Let me take this concept even further. There is a deeper reason why sharing plans too early can backfire, rooted in human behavior and social dynamics. People tend to react with skepticism first and curiosity second. When you expose your ambitious ideas to the world before they are realized, you face a landscape of doubt, of well-meaning but disruptive input, of passive discouragement. Your energy can be siphoned away by those who do not yet understand the full scope of your vision. By keeping your plan private, you are not only protecting your idea, but you are safeguarding your emotional and mental investment in it. You are ensuring that when you finally reveal your plan, it is fully formed, resilient, and impossible to ignore. Now, let's explore the practical application of this principle. First, assess every idea before sharing it. Ask yourself, does revealing this move me forward, or does it merely seek validation? Next, control the audience of your disclosures. Not everyone needs to know. Share with select, trusted individuals who have demonstrated alignment, competence, and discretion. Third, cultivate the habit of internal execution. Progress silently, build quietly, and let results speak louder than words. Execution is the bridge between imagination and reality, and the fewer distractions along that bridge, the stronger your journey. There is also a subtle artistry in how you eventually reveal your plan. Timing, presentation, and context are everything. Reveal too soon, and it may fail to resonate. Reveal too late, and the opportunity may pass. The masters of strategy understand this delicate balance. They do not disclose for approval, they reveal for impact. They maintain a rhythm of anticipation and momentum, allowing the world to witness not the struggle, but the culmination. As we delve deeper, it's important to understand that the consequences of sharing your plan prematurely are not abstract, they are tangible, measurable, and often irreversible. Take, for example, the story of a startup founder who believed that transparency would cultivate trust among investors, partners, and colleagues. Eager to share every nuance of the company's vision, he held frequent public discussions and meetings, revealing milestones yet to be achieved. On the surface, this seemed admirable, everyone could see his dedication and his ambition. Yet, what he didn't anticipate was the subtle erosion of momentum. Investors began offering advice that pulled the project in conflicting directions. Employees, while well-meaning, hesitated to commit fully because they saw the plan as incomplete or fragile. Competitors, noticing hints of innovation, accelerated their own development to preempt him. Within months, the founder's energy was scattered, his timeline delayed, and the vision that had once seemed unstoppable began to waver. Contrast this with another founder, who operated under a disciplined philosophy of discretion. From the inception of his idea, he limited disclosure to a trusted inner circle of advisors. Every milestone was quietly achieved, every problem solved internally, and every decision executed without unnecessary commentary. When he finally unveiled his product to the world, it was complete, polished, and impossible to ignore. The market responded not to potential but to certainty. Investors and customers alike recognized the strength of preparation. This difference, the silent cultivation of a plan versus the premature exposure, illustrates a fundamental truth: the timing of revelation is as critical as the plan itself. Psychology plays a critical role in this process. Human behavior is influenced by what we perceive, and when ideas are exposed before their time, perception can distort reality. If you share a plan too early, you inadvertently invite others to form judgments, opinions, and expectations based on incomplete information. These judgments often create pressure, reduce creative freedom, and generate anxiety. Even positive feedback can be detrimental because it tricks your mind into experiencing progress before action has been fully taken. There is a scientific basis for this phenomenon. When intentions are verbalized or publicly stated, the brain registers them as partially completed goals, reducing the internal drive to follow through. It's a subtle yet powerful sabotage of your own motivation. The solution lies in deliberate secrecy. Secrecy is not about isolation, it is about strategic containment. You control the flow of information, deciding who receives insight and when. It is a practice grounded in mindfulness, discipline, and patience. The most effective people in the world understand that discretion is a multiplier of influence. They do not seek validation during the formative stages of their endeavors. They cultivate their skills, refine their strategies, and complete their preparations in private. By the time they emerge, they wield not just an idea, but a tangible, realized force that others cannot ignore, challenge, or co-opt. Consider historical examples. Nikola Tesla, for instance, was notoriously private about his inventions. While many contemporaries sought public acclaim, Tesla prioritized development and experimentation, often withholding critical details until his work was perfected. The outcome? Tesla produced innovations that would fundamentally shape modern electricity and communication. Similarly, Thomas Edison worked with intense secrecy in his laboratories, limiting access to his experiments. This control allowed him to maintain ownership of ideas, prevent interference, and achieve breakthroughs that might have been compromised by early exposure. In contrast, many lesser-known inventors of the era openly shared prototypes and concepts, only to see them copied, misappropriated, or lost in public scrutiny. The lesson is clear: withholding your plan is a tactical advantage that has been repeatedly validated through history. But this is not just about protecting intellectual property or ideas. It is equally about preserving your psychological and emotional investment. When you guard your plan, you shield yourself from the inevitable skepticism, criticism, and unsolicited advice that accompanies exposure. Human beings have a natural tendency to project doubts onto others, to challenge ambitions that appear too bold, and to subtly influence decisions through opinion. By maintaining discretion, you reduce these interferences, allowing your focus to remain intact and your confidence unshaken. This is especially critical in highly competitive environments, whether in business, creative industries, or personal development. The fewer the voices diluting your vision, the stronger the trajectory of your success. Now, let's explore actionable strategies for maintaining this principle in modern contexts. First, create what I call a circle of strategic disclosure. Identify a very small group of people who are not just trustworthy but aligned with your vision. These individuals should be capable of providing meaningful input without derailing your momentum. Second, develop the habit of internal problem solving. Rather than discussing every obstacle or seeking advice at every juncture, cultivate the ability to experiment, iterate, and adjust privately. Third, practice the art of staged revelation. When it is time to share your plan, present it in a way that emphasizes completion, clarity, and confidence. This approach transforms potential doubt into admiration and positions you as a leader rather than a dreamer. Another critical dimension to consider is the timing of exposure in relation to opportunity. Revealing a plan too early risks losing the strategic advantage that secrecy provides. Revealing it too late can result in missed opportunities. The balance lies in preparation. Execute quietly until your plan reaches a level of maturity that is undeniable. When the world witnesses your action, it responds not to intention but to impact. This principle has been observed in every domain: business, art, science, politics, and even personal transformation. Those who succeed consistently understand that execution in silence precedes recognition in public. Beyond individual ambition, there is a profound societal implication. In an age dominated by social media, information travels instantly, opinions form rapidly, and trends shift unpredictably. Sharing an idea prematurely exposes it to volatility, feedback loops, criticism, misinterpretation, and competition accelerate exponentially. The protective power of discretion becomes even more critical in this environment. Strategic silence is not isolation from the world, it is a shield against noise, allowing your vision to grow unimpeded until it is ready to make a decisive impact. This brings us to the subtle art of influence. By controlling when and how you reveal your plan, you shape perception. People naturally gravitate toward certainty, toward results rather than promises. When you present a fully formed plan, complete with execution, credibility, and evidence of success, you harness a psychological advantage. Your audience, investors, collaborators, customers, or even friends, perceives not ambition alone, but authority. The act of withholding your plan until the right moment is, paradoxically, an act of empowerment, both for yourself and for those who witness the final outcome. As we continue, it is important to confront the realities of executing plans within collaborative environments and the subtle traps that can sabotage even the most brilliant ideas. You may think that teamwork and openness are inherently beneficial, but even in the most supportive settings, revealing your full plan prematurely can have unintended consequences. Collaboration does not mean total transparency. In fact, the most effective collaborators understand the boundaries of disclosure, balancing cooperation with discretion. Sharing selectively, providing only what is necessary at each stage, ensures that your vision remains intact, your authority preserved, and your momentum uninterrupted. Let's begin by considering a cautionary tale from the corporate world. A project team within a high-stakes technology company seemed like a model of collaboration. One member, eager to impress, openly shared the entire roadmap of a major initiative. His intention was to generate excitement and gain support, but the outcome was far different. Team members, while well-intentioned, unconsciously prioritized their own interpretations, subtly altering priorities and offering advice that pulled the project in conflicting directions. Some attempted to contribute beyond their scope, others withheld effort because the plan seemed too ambitious. By the time the project reached its execution phase, the original vision had been fragmented, leaving the creator frustrated and disillusioned. The lesson is clear: transparency without discernment can weaken the very structure you intend to strengthen. Controlled disclosure, on the other hand, ensures collaboration without compromise. The method that separates high achievers from the rest is incremental disclosure. Instead of sharing a plan in its entirety, they reveal only what is necessary for each stage of execution. This approach achieves multiple objectives: it protects the core vision, allows for meaningful input without overwhelming, and preserves the momentum of focus. When the ultimate goal is finally unveiled, its impact is magnified precisely because the audience has witnessed a coherent, mature, and realized concept. Incremental disclosure is a subtle form of leverage, a way to manage perception, influence, and engagement while protecting the integrity of the plan. Consider the power of compartmentalization. By breaking a plan into distinct segments, you allow participants to contribute effectively without gaining access to the entire strategy. This approach reduces the risk of leaks, prevents premature judgment, and ensures that no single individual holds the ability to disrupt the full vision. Compartmentalization also strengthens accountability. When contributors are focused solely on their designated segment, the quality of execution improves, and the overarching plan maintains coherence. This method has been employed by leaders in business, scientific research, and even military operations, illustrating its universal applicability. Equally critical is the art of framing. How you communicate portions of your plan matters as much as what you communicate. By emphasizing immediate tasks, responsibilities, and outcomes, rather than the ultimate objective, you guide participants toward action without revealing sensitive elements. Framing focuses attention on execution and minimizes speculation or distraction. It also ensures that enthusiasm and input remain constructive rather than disruptive. The leaders who master framing cultivate influence not by disclosing ambition, but by shaping perception. They transform collaboration into a mechanism of execution rather than a forum for critique. Self-discipline is the foundation upon which all these strategies rest. Maintaining secrecy, even when every instinct drives you to share, requires patience, resilience, and confidence. Many ambitious individuals falter not because their ideas lack merit, but because they seek validation too early, posting updates, soliciting opinions, or engaging in conversations that fragment focus. The ability to progress privately, to solve problems internally, and to execute with quiet consistency distinguishes those who achieve extraordinary outcomes from those who stall despite talent and vision. Self-discipline converts secrecy into a tool, focus into results, and restraint into power. The consequences of oversharing are visible in countless real-world scenarios. One prominent entrepreneur, eager to gain support for an innovative product, openly discussed his plans in interviews, meetings, and social media. Before the product was even launched, competitors had adapted similar ideas, investors questioned feasibility, and the founder's energy was consumed by defending, explaining, and managing perception. The original advantage of originality dissipated, and the ambitious plan required extensive recalibration. In contrast, another entrepreneur maintained confidentiality throughout development, sharing only the completed product with a select few advisors. When unveiled, it achieved market dominance, and every element reflected deliberate execution. The difference between these two outcomes lay not in vision but in the strategic management of information. This principle extends beyond business. Creative industries provide numerous examples. Musicians, writers, and artists who share preliminary work too early often encounter feedback that derails their process, diminishes originality, or pressures them into premature revisions. Those who nurture their projects in privacy, by contrast, emerge with fully realized creations that command attention and respect. The pattern is universal. Concealment during development preserves integrity, amplifies impact, and safeguards both effort and vision. To apply these insights effectively, begin by defining your circle of disclosure. Identify individuals whose input is genuinely valuable and whose alignment is unquestionable. Limit access to those whose perspectives will enhance rather than dilute your plan. Next, implement incremental disclosure, revealing elements of your strategy only as necessary to achieve immediate objectives. Break the plan into compartments, assign responsibilities, and provide clarity for each segment while withholding the overarching vision until appropriate. This ensures the project remains cohesive while maintaining protection over critical components. Control the narrative within each disclosure. Focus communication on execution, measurable outcomes, and immediate goals rather than long-term aspirations. By framing interactions this way, you guide attention toward tangible contributions and away from speculation. Simultaneously, cultivate private execution, work diligently, iterate consistently, and progress without seeking external validation. Execution in silence builds momentum, preserves psychological energy, and strengthens the credibility of eventual revelation. Timing of disclosure is another critical factor. Reveal too early, and the plan risks dilution or interference. Reveal too late, and opportunities may be lost. The ideal timing emerges when the plan has reached maturity, demonstrating both clarity and feasibility. When shared at the optimal moment, the revelation carries authority, influence, and impact. Human beings respond most strongly to results rather than promises. By controlling timing, you harness perception in your favor. The broader societal implications are significant. In a hyperconnected world dominated by social media, ideas travel instantaneously, feedback loops accelerate, and trends shift unpredictably. Premature disclosure exposes plans to volatility, criticism, misinterpretation, and competitive adaptation. Strategic silence becomes a necessary shield against noise, allowing your vision to develop unimpeded until it is prepared for maximum effect. Those who master discretion in this context achieve not only protection but leverage, shaping outcomes while minimizing exposure to disruption. Influence itself is amplified through strategic concealment. By revealing only what is necessary at each stage, you create anticipation, curiosity, and engagement without compromising control. When the plan is fully realized, those who witness it perceive decisiveness, competence, and authority. The restraint exercised during development heightens the perceived value and credibility of the final outcome. In essence, secrecy during execution transforms ambition into power and vision into tangible achievement. Collaboration, when guided by these principles, becomes a force multiplier rather than a source of dilution. High achievers carefully manage disclosure, ensuring that participants have enough information to contribute effectively without gaining access to the entirety of the strategy. This balance preserves the integrity of the plan while fostering meaningful participation. Incremental, compartmentalized, and framed disclosure allows teamwork to strengthen rather than fragment the original vision. The discipline required extends beyond strategic thinking. It is a mindset that permeates decision-making, leadership, and personal conduct. Those who succeed consistently demonstrate the ability to prioritize action over recognition, results over approval, and execution over discussion. They resist the impulse to overshare, the temptation to seek validation, and the distractions of external opinion. Through patience, focus, and discretion, they convert ideas into outcomes and potential into tangible success. Ultimately, the principle of not sharing your plan prematurely encompasses every aspect of achievement. From personal goals to corporate initiatives, creative projects to technological innovation, strategic concealment safeguards vision, preserves energy, and maximizes impact. By executing privately, revealing selectively, and timing disclosure strategically, you maintain control over outcomes, amplify influence, and position yourself for sustained success. Discretion is not secrecy for its own sake, it is a calculated, deliberate tool for achieving objectives with precision, authority, and power. By internalizing these practices, you gain more than protection for your ideas. You cultivate focus, resilience, and strategic insight. You strengthen relationships through selective collaboration and enhance credibility by presenting outcomes rather than promises. You transform ambition into action, potential into reality, and vision into results. The world rewards those who act decisively, think strategically, and reveal intentionally. Every successful individual who has left a mark understood that execution in private precedes recognition in public. Your ability to control the flow of information, safeguard your energy, and manage perception is not merely advantageous, it is essential. Your next step is simple yet profound. Commit to your plans in private, execute diligently, limit exposure, and reveal with precision. Protect your vision until it is fully realized, and when the world finally witnesses it, it will respond not to intention, but to the undeniable force of achievement. By mastering the balance between discretion and action, you convert ideas into power, ambition into results, and strategy into unstoppable momentum. The choice is yours, and the principles are clear. Secrecy, discipline, timing, and strategic disclosure are not just tactics, they are the keys to unlocking extraordinary outcomes in every area of life.